All right, guys. Hey, welcome in. Sean here for Unpaid. Little time change today because of a charity event. Our guy, Matt Musil, longtime legendary broadcaster here in Houston, had me at his event, did a great job. They raised a couple $100,000 today. It was awesome. So that's why the change in time. We'll be back at it tomorrow with Adam Sager and I at 12 o'clock Central Time, live, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Unpaid on Rumble on Twitter, or I'm at Sean Unfiltered. So thankful for your patience today. Won't keep you long. I know there's so much going on, baseball races to the division title, getting yourself football ready, and still going over what pissed you off last week and what excites you about this week in the NFL and college. Better college football slate coming up as well, and some teams that really need to do something that we'll hit as we roll along through the week in college football, because if they don't, coaches are going to be in trouble. Take, for instance, Florida. Billy Napier. 2 years ago, you thought he was getting fired. Last year gets DJ Lagway. Last year they elevated their play to a whole new level, and as did that young fella, and Billy got a contract. Well, now they're in a position where they've lost 2 in a row, and they're getting ready to take on LSU in a hostile environment. And LSU's it was a kind of a sluggish win last week, but they've got every element to make them a national title team. So Florida's got to get back at it. They're going to start 0-3. We'll hit on that later in the week. A couple topics, but today at this event, now you golfers or can relate to this, but those days when I'm golfing and you go out there and play, and you've been playing a lot, and when you don't have any excuses of why you play kind of average, right? Now I know that 4-man scrambles can be a pain, and they're awesome, but they can also be a pain for your game because you're just flailing away, trying to smoke it as far as you can hit it because you got 3 other players, and that's some good players, and it was up and down. We had a blast, again, for the right reasons, but I'm sitting there thinking it is amazing to me that all the years of getting hit in the mouth and throwing a football, I still trust that more than I do hitting a golf ball that doesn't move. You got an 8-iron in your hand and you shouldn't miss a green from 160 yards. It's weird. I know the pros do too, and I know that it's a bit, either hyperbolic or overbearing and kind of insufferable to say, well, how can I miss a green from 160 yards? Well, I do it plenty, so I can tell you how to do that. But it's such a weird freaking game, man. I think about, the hard things to do in sports, and I'm thinking, nobody hits me. I don't have a 4-man pressure. I don't have a blitz off the edge. You work on the driving range. I don't have an excuse that I haven't played. You hit golf balls. You go play. And the discrepancy and the gap between one good day and one bad day and missing the golf ball by that much is like 10 strokes for me. I don't know if you golfers ever go through it, but man, I'm telling you right now, it is brutal. And I'm one of those guys who wears my emotion on my sleeve on the golf course. I was with a bunch of guys, and you're laughing and joking, but deep down I'm thinking, how do I miss that shot? How do I chili dip a little flop shot around the green that's not that hard to hit? Because I've worked on it. Now listen, if I didn't play and I go out there once a year and play, who the hell cares and who doesn't? But it's like the one thing where you still get competitive juices for me. I don't know if you guys feel that when you play. But, one time, don't make a big deal. It's just golf. You're having fun. That's right. But when you play enough to hit good shots, for the most part, when I say good shots, at least give yourself a chance most of the time. I'm not saying you're a 600-yard power 5 and you're there in 2. I'm not on a regular basis. It's a 3-shot hole. I'm just talking about the simple things. The 6-foot putt that's straight uphill, the 8-iron from 155, 160, depending on the wind. Today, the ball seemed to be carried. Hell, I misclubbed myself. 1 second, I'm hitting a 150-yard pitching wedge that goes 10 yards long. So I think, well, man, I'll back off. And then you hit a sand wedge short. And then the next time it's 160 yards, you say, well, that's 8-iron. And then you hit an 8-iron and it goes 10 yards by. And you say, well, that's not my 160 yard. And the wind's not blowing. All those things go through my mind. It'll fuck you up, golf will. Because it's the one thing where I still get competitive on this show or competitive when you're bantering or debating with somebody. I'm talking about just flat out when you're competing. When you're done out of your sport or whatever it is, if you're a weekend softball player, if you play, golf with your buddies, you go play pickup and you're a weekend warrior at the gym playing hoops, whatever it is, or you're rooting for somebody else, a grandkid or a child who's playing, oh, that's awesome. But there's something about competing that I miss immensely. I don't want to go and drop back and get hit in the mouth anymore. I did enough of that in my career and got the scars to show it. But I still trust throwing a comeback at 18 yards more than I do hitting a 70-yard in between, kind of got to hit a half lob wedge in there. I trust throwing a comeback right now after all these years being on all these surgeries more than I do that. Yet I play enough golf. That's my point of this whole thing. I play enough golf. You guys know my obsession with it, that you're going to have bad days. But I play enough golf that I shouldn't be hitting 3 or 4 consistently bad shots. And ball flight, where you cut one shot and you're not trying to, you snap hook another one because you overcompensate with your hands, and then you hit a straight one, but you don't hit it flush, and it's not the kind of drive you want. It was one of those days for me. So the game, and I guess that's why I keep doing it, because today was like awesome because of the charity and who the people were that were there. But I'm sitting there playing, I'm saying, wait a minute, a week ago, I hit the golf ball so much better than this. What's changed? I don't remember my grip changing. I don't remember my approach to the golf shot changing, my pre-shot routine. The weather was perfect today, and I couldn't hit a green or a fairway to save my life. You scramble around in one of those, and you got somebody else who hits it down there, but it's just, I don't know if you guys feel it. It's just something to mull over. I'm telling you, and I love to compete, and it's really the only place other than talking like this and bantering with you guys or getting in a good sports debate. It's really the only place I get to compete. And I think that's why I play so much too. I'm competing. You can compete against yourself. You can compete against betting with your buddy. But golf just brings out such raw emotion in me, man. Maybe that's what I got to learn to contain, that I won't hit 2 or 3 average shots, then a good shot, then a great shot, then a bad shot, then an average shot. And it's amazing. A week ago, I'm thinking, man, I'm so much closer now. I'm about 4 3-putts a day away from, which I can control if I'm smarter, from getting my handicap inside of 10 back to, okay, because I'm smarter on the golf course than I used to be. Used to be just hit as far as you can and scramble around. Now playing the course a little smarter, but it's hard to play it smart when you're still trying to play it smart. You're not hitting shots where you want to go. And I'm not I came here to lay up guy, but I am trying to get smarter at it. But golf will beat your ass down, but I play it all the time. And I don't have an excuse for the way I scramble all over the place today, because I play enough. You have an excuse. Oh man, I play once a year, that built-in excuse. And you kind of go and have fun and hit it. I had a blast, but man, golf's the one thing. I don't know how people have a blast, unless you're drinking with friends, if you're playing shitty. No, you guys tell me about it. When you're playing bad golf, can you still enjoy it? I guess when I was at Pebble Beach, I didn't play bad. I played up and down. The beauty of the course and the history of the course made me like, And then I at Cypress Point too, when I played there, and then I see the amateur playing there, and I'm like, I went through every shot I hit on the course. But I need that competition, man. But it's amazing. Golf, like any other, I know even if you have a bad game in football, I know I can throw a bang post off the plant and let it go. I'm still not sure how many times from 160 yards with the right iron in your hands in a perfect weather, you're going to hit it left, chili dip it, hit it long. That's why I'm amazed at him. It's the greatest form of competition for me, because I can play it by myself and battle against myself. So that's been on my mind, but it's a weird grind is golf. And maybe that's why we play it and always come back, because you hit 1 shot or 2 shots or 3 shots, say, now that's who I'm supposed to be. Crazy sport. Let's get to, but it was great. So thanks for adjusting your time for the charity event that raised a lot of money. And I'm proud of those guys, and I'm always honored to be a part of it. I want to start with last night's game. We can break down. I wish we could do tape, and eventually we will when my telestrator is up in a new studio. But I was watching the game last night. The way Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams came. First, let me back up. We had 2 good young quarterbacks in the game last night, and anybody that thinks they're not going to be good, I don't think you're watching like I am, and I don't think you're watching it fair. I think Caleb Williams is going to get a raw deal at times, because you don't like the way, you meaning the people who don't. I'm not specifically talking to anybody, but the people who don't like him are going to say he's not old school enough pocket guy. But the majority of reasons you wouldn't like Caleb Williams' game, and he's got a different demeanor on the field. I know when he was crying to his mother or something at SC, and the nail painting, and why he does it. And he knows it bothers you. That's why he does it too. He does it because he doesn't give a shit what you think or what I think. But in truth, deep down in places that we don't talk about very much, do you really care if the guy produces, what he does with his nails, or how he conducts his life, as long as he's not breaking a law or being rude? Now, I don't know. Yeah, I've never been around it. I just know this, and I don't know his true leadership skills. That's the one thing we can discuss as we go along. There you see his record versus the guys who were drafted the same as, as guys that were high draft picks. I can't see that whole thing. What did that say? Matchups with what? Triple E? I didn't get to see the whole thing because with screen. I don't know. Maybe I can expand my screen, but I can only see Caleb Williams 3-0 in matchups versus it looked like Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy.
The 24 draft class. QB.
Okay, so it was this year's second year guys, correct?
Yes.
And because McCarthy didn't play, so he's a second. So it was McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, and it looked like Drake May. I thought I saw. So with that, I think that you're probably going to judge Caleb Williams harsher on the way, whether I don't, like I said, I've heard both now. As an SC guy, I talk to people at SC. I've heard both that sometimes it was hard to, that he was doing things different than everybody else. And then I've heard guys rave about it. Coaches that I've talked to in person rave about him when he was at Southern Cal and what kind of teammate he was. So I don't know what to believe. It'll play itself out. Bad leaders rear their head, and good leaders rear their head. They show up. They do it. And it's either forced leadership will show up in a way that you're like, he's phony. Bad leadership will show in a way that teammates turn their back to him and want him out. Good leadership will show without having to beg for it. You just show up, you'll grab onto it. They'll grab onto you without you walking into a room and demanding it. It'll take over. Quarterback position is supposed to be a natural leadership position. Some do it vocally, some don't. Caleb Williams beats to a different drum off the field. But I can tell you the greatest elixir and fixer of that is play well. So in truth, when you watch Caleb Williams, you got to do a job of judging him, not by the color of his nails, but by the way he plays football. And then the leader, like I said, we can all speculate because he does this or he cried here or he was emotional there or didn't do this and didn't do that off the field that you buy. He carries a purse or whatever. I don't care. But we'll judge him on that until you see more football. But he didn't have a horrible rookie year. And he started out last night 10-10. And it looked like, damn, he got with the right coach. Now, I'm going to tell you as it goes along, Ben Johnson's going to love the bandwidth, and they're going to use him even more outside the pocket. But you saw the natural instincts last night by the guy. You just did. Now, they came out and played a little more zone and rushed 4 and were, rushing 3, rushing 4. They did not overly pressure him a lot in the first half. In the second half, they came out and Brian Flores, who has had a hard time in his times as a coordinator against the head coach that is Ben Johnson, defending his offenses. Now, the players he had in Detroit are much better all around right now and we're more experienced than they have in Chicago. But Ben Johnson can coach offense. What happens a lot of times, and it's one game, I get it, is that it's hard for a guy who's a coordinator and the head coach to deal with the whole team. Sometimes it gets lost in translation. And that'll be the challenge for Ben Johnson is still be the head coach and not just be yourself one-sided on the one dimension of coaching offense. Now, you're fortunate you have a former head coach twice and who's been a defensive coordinator in Dennis Allen for a long time in the league. So you do have where you can kind of let the defense do its thing other than a few things that you want to do different for him. But during a game, you can turn it over to Dennis Allen and let him do it. So that'll be an advantage. An inexperienced defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator, they got to learn to gain your trust. Dennis Allen's been defensive coordinator long enough to gather the trust, or he wouldn't have been hired after being fired as a Saints head coach. So they on the other side, Brian Flores ramped up the pressure in the second half, which is his MO. Brian can't resist it. But he did a great job of feeling out Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson as a bear as opposed to a lion to see how he was going to deal with it. But you saw early on, Caleb Williams has got plenty of arm. He's got great movement. For him, it's just getting out of his crutch, and his crutch is when in doubt, bail out and go do things. But Lamar did it early. Josh Allen did it early. Elway did it early. Guys do what their crutch is early. You lean to that like you do to a receiver you trust to win. You use your legs or whatever it is your strength is as a crutch. That's not a bad thing early on, as long as you don't get locked into it and continue to progress. But when in doubt, you don't ask a hitter in baseball, hey, man, you're struggling at the plate. Look for an 0-2 sweeper outside the strike zone to get your streak going, get hot again. Nobody does that shit. He's looking for a pitch he can drive in the middle of the plate right down the cock so he can rip it. That's how you get out of slumps. And you say, damn, what did I do different? Kind of like in golf. I didn't do shit different. I kept my head on the ball a little bit, a little more focused, dialed in, and got a pitch I could drive, and bam, hit it. Same thing, quarterback. You're trying to get locked in, but in the middle of a game, you're not thinking mechanics. You're not thinking about anything but how am I going to make a play to help my team win? Caleb Williams can play. You make a physical skill set, he can play. Now it's just, remember, and the expectations we put on these young quarterbacks is sick. Now, if they weren't preparing or getting prepared, like you heard Kyler Murray say he wasn't really studying when Johnny Manziel came out, you've heard quarterbacks say it, then shame on them. And shame on them. Now, Kyler, I think, has learned a valuable lesson because he's an enormously talented kid, but he's learned a valuable lesson about if you ain't studying, make sure you don't tell anybody because we'll destroy you for not studying at that position. Everybody else is studying an hour, you better study 4 because you got to know all 22. So in Caleb Williams' case, we'll see. He's getting into his book and Ben Johnson's riding him about studying. That'll be important. But right now, when you're still swimming in it, it's another coordinator, another new year for Caleb Williams. Damn, what's he on his 3rd one in the middle of the season, changing and play calling and Ben Johnson now? This will be his best one since Lincoln Riley. You saw when he got comfortable with Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma, going to Southern Cal, had him there in 2 years and then won in Oklahoma. The dude was off the charts as a player. They just couldn't defend anybody. So when you're talking about the physical skill set, the ability to make every throw, don't question that. The consistent accuracy, the ability not to be a hero ball. My only worry about him, because he had to play it at SC, was, is he going to play hero ball all the time? Now, he'll have to play it sometimes, as you saw. Hero ball is good. Sometimes you got to be a hero, and he's got the ability to do it. There's plenty of guys who play hero ball and can't do it. There's other guys who don't play hero ball, and you need him to at times. But then there's that guy who's got the ability to do it, leans on it because he's still young. But once he figures that out, the hero ball, when you're as gifted as that cat right there, will just naturally come. And obvious, like we've mentioned about other quarterbacks, the next stage to his game is getting comfortable with Ben Johnson and finding a way to beat you from the pocket first, expand second. And he'll do it. I thought he missed some big throws last night, at times a couple of them. I thought he made some great reads and throws. And what I liked early was his patience on the check down stuff, the simple underneath stuff that you guys hear me preach all the time. So I thought he made strides. They changed it up on him, which you don't get enough in college. That you get, there are a lot of, they don't disguise as well. And you get a brilliant defensive coordinator like Brian Flores. He'll get you, lull you to sleep before you know, now they're pressuring. And the Vikings did a hell of a job in the second half after that big lead that the Bears blew. And then 3 touchdowns in the last quarter for Minnesota Vikings taking over. So you had to like what you saw from Caleb Williams, especially in the first half. But Ben Johnson will grow into this thing as well, understanding who his quarterback is. But if you're just talking about gifts, I hope that Caleb Williams puts the time in the film room, which I am assuming he will. I hope he wins over the football team, and we get to see the max of him. If he doesn't, it's on him. He's going to be well coached, and he can rip it, and he's extremely gifted. And as they build players around him, the Bears have something. Now, when's the last time the Bears had a gift? I mean, Cutler on it, just arm strength and fun. Cutler could rip it. But when's the last time they had a guy this gifted? Now, Justin Fields was extremely talented. Caleb Williams is twice the thrower Justin Fields was at this stage of their career. Now, I saw Justin Fields take some steps forward this past weekend. Can he sustain it? But Caleb Williams could do it. The physical stuff's not going to be a problem unless he tries to be a hero every week and they're losing 3 and 4 in a row. That'll get him in trouble. On the other side, J.J. McCarthy. I see why Kevin O'Connell let players walk. I mean, I think Sam Darnold's a better thrower of the football. But you saw Sam didn't have his best game, and the 49ers took care of it. And they need to throw it more for Darnold too, because Darnold, he got great arm You got great arm talent. This guy right here, winning is contagious, guys. He didn't lose much at IMG in high school. He did not lose but one game as a starter at Michigan. What he went, was he 27-1 or something? One loss and a national champion. They drafted him and cleared house at quarterback for that guy in truth, he's still a rookie. You can draw it on the board all you want until you see those live bullets flying around. You ain't shit sitting in the meeting room. Now, to grasp it's one thing, but then to go take it to the practice field after you've been in a meeting and apply it, whole different ballgame. But I thought McCarthy, and the thing that I know, smart, high football IQ, winner. Remember when I mentioned the leaders just kind of naturally evolve? That kid's going to be, by the time that kid's in year 3, he'll own that team. I'm just telling you. He will. He's going to grow as a thrower because Kevin O'Connell has brought the best out in quarterbacks that have come through him. We talk about Kevin O'Connell knows how to coach the position and maximize the skill set. He did just what I said he was going to do going this game. Protect McCarthy, not throw it 35 times, throw it in the 20s, low 20s, where they throw it 20 times. Get his legs involved at times, give him some easy stuff. Now, while he missed a few things early on, I was watching everything about him and how he handled the situation of the game. That's a first-year start rookie. Even though it's his second year, you guys know that last night was not a second-year start. It was a rookie start because why? He ain't ever seen it before. He didn't even get any snaps last year. Sometimes if a guy had 30, like Arch Manning had 2 games before he got the start, at least he got a little bit of run. McCarthy didn't get any run. Torn meniscus. Well, I'm going to tell you, once he starts to feel it, you don't get rid of a Pro Bowl quarterback who wasn't going to cost you $50 million. Would Sam Darnold get 30, 35, something like that? Who had a hell of a year, and you won, 14 games? And you just let him walk? You had to believe in J.J. McCarthy. Winner, not a pure thrower that you're used to. He didn't have to do it at Michigan either. 22 of 25, 21 of 24. Beat you with 7 or 8 rushes with his legs. And what he did last night, protect the football. You're going to, for the most part, you throw a pick, you get yourself into a little trouble. But the greatest thing I learned from J.J. McCarthy last night, how he handled duress. Number one thing, mental, emotional toughness. I'm assuming you're physically tough. Now, we got plenty of guys that are tough. We got some guys that probably don't want contact, that when it hits them in the mouth, they, dare I say, get soft and want no part of it. That most guys that play professional sports have a little physical toughness, some far more than others, and a threshold of pain that's different. But the minute at that quarterback position, heck, when I got into trouble, it was not letting go of a bad play when I played. I could throw it before I blew out my knees. I could run. I was big. I was athletic. Could run. I could throw it with anybody. I didn't make the simple play enough because I would let the previous one that I took a shot on bug me. At certain parts of my career, it's times you get. It's like anything. Confidence wavers. No matter how good you are, you go and you the NFL Player of the Week one week against Denver on the road and beat Elway coming from behind, which was a great feeling for me. Then the next week you throw and you're like, damn, it didn't look the same. And it's called sports, man. But the ones who can sustain that simple play, right read, but more importantly, quarterbacks that overcome bad stuff. I've said it before. How well are you in a 2-minute drive? How good are you on third down? And how good are you when your team's it's nut cutting time? J.J. McCarthy, don't look at the lack of gaudy stats. Look at the fourth quarter. Got him in the end zone 3 times. He threw 2, ran 1 in the game, and overcame a road victory, overcame a team that's better and improved against a defense that'll be better, a quarterback who went 10 for 10 to start on the other side. You're just trying to get rolling. You're still wondering, man, can I put my foot in the ground and trust the injury? I'm back. This is football again. It's not practice. It's real stuff. And for him to battle his way through that, throw 20 balls and still find a way to win, but do it on the road, that's a hostile environment. Anybody that's ever played in Chicago and Soldier Field knows how passionate those fans are. The Bears did a little bearing last night. The Bears are going to be better, but the Minnesota Vikings continued what they had last year, working into the new quarterback, getting him to protect the football. Look what happened at the end of the year with the Vikings. Sam against Detroit, the last game of the season, did not play well. I think Sam Darnold's a wonderful guy and a hell of a player. Did not play well. If Sam Darnold wins that game against Detroit or that playoff game where he did not play well in that one either, Sam Darnold would still be the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. But he didn't under what? All year, Pro Bowl year, 4,000, had a monster year. Great year and deserved to get paid. And he'll do fine in Seattle. The reason they let him go is because under duress the last 2 games, the old questions crept in with Sam Darnold. Remember when he was in New York. Remember when he was in Carolina. Those crept in. And I thought it's hard for a rookie to will yourself and your team to victory. When I say rookie, you know I'm talking about a second-year guy, but a guy who was able to stay involved last year, which helped, and grasp what was going, how Sam Darnold played, and to grasp what went on, but you're still not getting to apply it because you're not practicing, let alone playing in games. But how he took last year, applied it to this year, and basically his first start as a second-year guy, but a rookie start, and to be able to handle hostile environment on the road, which reminds me, he knows how to go into Ohio State, knows how to go on the road and win. The guy didn't lose but one time in college, as I said. Impressive. Friggin' impressive. And Minnesota Vikings, I was really – and he'll have growing pains. He's going to have games where you're like, well, what in the hell is he doing? I question, and I love Kevin, and you know as a guy who played in Minnesota for the majority of my career, is I questioned their decision to say, are you really willing to let Sam walk without your backup getting any work? And you know what? You got to trust the guys in the building most of the time that know what they're doing. They saw something in J.J. McCarthy, even without taking any snaps in a game last year, that said the guy's a winner. Proved it last night. 2 good young quarterbacks that just adds to the plethora of Stroud, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix. We are loaded. Drake May. We may not be good at the backup position. I mean, depth-wise at the backup position, but I got news for you. Starting quarterbacks in the NFL, Hurts, Allen, Jack. You saw Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson put on a friggin' clinic on Sunday night. Yeah, I mean, it just the young quarterbacks we have and veterans. Aaron Rodgers, rejuvenated, looked like old Aaron Rodgers we talked about. We're in good shape at that position. Let me get to the Philadelphia Eagles. Vic Fangio gets it, defensive coordinator. The reason why I kind of tied into Miami, and I'm going back, and I listened to Coach Fangio talk, and I've loved him forever. Coach Fangio's been in this league forever. And the performance he put on in the Super Bowl was epic while he faced another defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, who's epic. They elevate their team, and they are brilliant at putting game plans together. Let me take you back to Miami. Do you know the Miami Dolphins and the players didn't buy into him and wanted him out, didn't like him? Now, you talk about a pussified team that needs some help. Vic Fangio may be the toughest guy on that team when he was there, and they didn't want to work. It's obvious to me they did not want to work because Vic Fangio's old school, loves his players, but you know what? Like he said about Jalen Carter. Listen, being a leader is something you grow into. You don't talk it. You got to live it. And I'm paraphrasing, but it's talk's cheap. You can talk anything. You've got to be about it. And basically challenging his best defensive player. And hell, you can make the argument when things are going good. Jalen Carter may be the best player on the team, that dominant. But leadership, nobody's handing you leadership if you're going to do the shit you did and spit in somebody's face. Part of being a leader sometimes is walking away from that, right? Nobody's questioning his football skills. And I love that Fangio, even when he's down, he didn't kick him in the rib cage. It's kind of put his arm around like, man, we got to get you to another level, but you're accountable for it. And Miami didn't want to be accountable for it. And that's why they didn't like Vic Fangio, because he put him to work. So what do? You run his ass out. You replace him. You guys are going to keep replacing people, and a whole new staff if this continues. There's the talk about lack of toughness. I'm sure there's some tough football players, but as an overall whole, the culture of toughness there, it's a pussified group right now. They don't want to fist fight anybody. And unfortunately for them, football is a fist fight. That's the team that gets to, whoa, we got to a fist fight. We ain't pillow fighting in the NFL. Vic Fangio's no pillow fighter. The fact that I'll tell you everything you need to know about the Miami Dolphins. They didn't want to work because Vic Fangio held them accountable. Well, lo and behold, he decides, bam, let me run to Miami. Not run to, let me go to let me leave Miami and let's go to Philadelphia. How are they doing now? His defensive plan was brilliant in the Super Bowl. They were coming off the year before where their coordinator wasn't very good, and they had to fire an offensive and defensive coordinator. Insert Vic Fangio, nasty defense with good talent. It's one thing to have good talent. It's another thing to maximize good talent, put him in positions to be successful, and go win. And you know what? He didn't have to blitz much in the Super Bowl. They knew who to get and how to get him. Those guys were so disciplined, they were in the right place all the time. Vic Fangio has the ring that the Miami Dolphins, haven't had since Bob Greasy. Even the great number 13, Dan Marino, went to one and never saw one again. And you know what we said about those teams at times too? Where's Dan's help? They had Duper and Clay. Don't say they had good players. But we still say, I wonder what Dan would have done in San Francisco on Montana's teams. And I'm not saying that he would have been any better than Joe, but ball comes out. He ain't never had a better pure thrower of the ball. Point is that Vic Fangio, you tell me coaching doesn't matter. Look what coaching did for the Eagles. And now Kellen Moore, who had it great as a coordinator, is now finding out how hard it is to win when you don't have the players you had in Philadelphia. But it just tells me why the Miami Dolphins, they're going to beat somebody 47-10 this year. And then they're going to get beat 20-3 in a slugfest where somebody punches them in the mouth and they run like a friggin' scalded dog. And you ran the guy out of the building that you didn't like, worked you too hard. You didn't like his how hardcore he was. Brian Flores is hardcore. Hell, they made the mistake of letting Flores go, did Miami. That's weird. Guys who work hard and punch you in the mouth and punch you in the mouth and, want you to punch the opponent in the mouth, not literally, but play that like that. Both of those guys are on a team. One went 14 games last year, and he's become one of the brightest defensive coordinators in the league, and we'll get another head coaching job in Brian Flores. And then Miami ran out Vic Fangio, and he's got a Super Bowl ring. Do the fucking math. It's pretty blatant. I could actually say that the Miami Dolphins are as soft as any team in the league. And the reason I say it, whether it's a challenge or trying to get there, if they're not paying attention, they don't need to hear it from us. You know why? All they got to do is watch the tape. But right now, I get the feeling they go in and watch the tape, and it's excuse-ridden. And then you hear Mike McDaniel say, and Mike's a brilliant guy, but leaders and brilliance sometimes don't go hand in hand. Some are just made to coordinate a team or be a position coach. When Mike says, can't do any worse, your ass. Get your ass kicked 2 or 3 times, and guess what you'll be doing? You'll still be getting that bank account, but you'll be going in the back door with a mask on and reaching around your back to get the paycheck. Because right now, the Miami Dolphins' physicality is non-existent. They're not even finesse right now. Your number one receiver, in a year, biggest play is 30 yards for a guy who lived with home runs at Tyreek Hill. He got some things going on off the field too, obviously. Miami Dolphins. That goes to show you the Philadelphia Eagles, just like their fans. You Philly fans, I love you. And Lucy, I like Mike McDaniel. He probably needs a new pair of Lululemons and pulled up to his knees. Or maybe he needs to come with a hard hat and a doggone, construction crew to where he shows he's going to go start hammering some nails so these guys say physicality. But I don't know if it's ingrained in him. But yeah, you're damn right. He'll finesse it. The problem is they're not finessing anybody either. So I'm anxious to see how this turns out for the Miami Dolphins. I know how it turns out for the Philadelphia Eagles. Just like their fans, Vic Fangio might as well be sitting in the stands with their fans. Tough, high expectations, call you a pussy if it fits, not going to tell you you're a leader until you actually prove it. You're a good football player, but being a leader is the whole pie. You don't get to have half the pie and lead. And if you want to be looked at like it, you got to take the accountability and responsibility with it. Vic does, and he expects the same thing from Jalen Carter. That team's real, but it's going to be one hell of a fun race in the NFC. The Detroit Lions will pick it back up. Chicago's going to win games. Washington, the Rams, the Packers. Segs and I are going to hit it throughout the week, all this other stuff. But, don't want to overload my mouth with my ass and trying to get, 50 topics in once. But I really wanted to stress how important Vic Fangio has been to Philadelphia. You got to have players, but you have to have coaches that can see the forest through the trees and put players in position. And I love the fact that he didn't kiss Jalen Carter's ass without making it personal. or rubbing it in. He knows he made a mistake. Leaders do stuff different than everybody else. You don't talk it, you go out there and show it. The best leaders in the world I've ever been around, they just do it. Some are vocal, but they still lead. They still lead. And yes, Lucy, you and Mike can shop at Lululemon together. While you're at it, grab me a couple pairs of joggers and a couple of polo shirts for golf. Maybe that'll help my damn game. So that's and the expectations. And look at, much is given, much is required. Jalen Carter's been given great skill set. He's been a turd at times that hopefully he'll fight his way through and learn as he matures. But you got to do it fast, because if you're going to take you don't want to be the guy to say, oh man, great player, but you want to be a great player. And he took on the accountability of being that guy. And you know what? While it was trash, and we saw a University of Florida guy do it too, spitting in somebody's face or on their chest or whatever, enough of this. The next time somebody spits on a player, I'll give you carte blanche, as if you need it, to go open up a can, a whoop ass. Philadelphia is real. I thought it was a good weekend. Now, let me close with this today, and we'll be back at it at 12 noon tomorrow. The San Francisco 49ers are a confusing team to me. I've said it before on here that every year they're in vogue for me to pick Kittle, McCaffrey, Purdy, Ayuk when healthy. I could say it about all these days, Fred Warner. I mean, they've been loaded, so talented for a while. And I've been I don't know, pound the table, but I think it's fair. And Dr. J, you listen to me all the time. I think it's fair. You know, we do get caught. Let me back up a second. We get caught up into the guys that don't look the part at quarterback, meaning where they were drafted, not 6'5", 230. Don't do what Josh Allen does. Well, shit, who does, right? I think Josh Allen's the best football player in the world right now. I didn't say quarterback. He may be that too. I think he is the best football player in the world right now. And I don't know how I can get much argument. There's some great ones. This dude's as good as we have at any position, as good at his position as anybody is at theirs. Now, when I watched the Brock Purdy, I guess I pounded the table. I haven't broke the table because I'm trying to guard against holding him accountable for the fact that he was the last pick of the draft. Because you look at the numbers, hell, he was 20-something with like 24 35 or 25 or 34 for 270-something, couple touchdowns, and makes the throw at the end that the tight end bailed him out. But see, that's what I'm saying is he wins. He's been to a Super Bowl, been to another champion, played against Philadelphia in the playoffs, but was hurt and couldn't finish. And so he keeps winning. He puts up really good numbers. He's not the fastest, but he's competitive and can buy time. He doesn't have the strongest arm, so like Tua, but a little more, I think a little more rugged toughness, even though Tua's tough with all the hits he takes. If he throws on time, life's good. If he's got to hold it in playoff schedule, not his strength. And at times he forces balls that he doesn't have the arm talent to force. Yet, guy comes away with it in the end zone for the win. The series late in the fourth quarter, he threw an atrocious interception that put the 49ers in a major bind. Then he overcomes it and he gets the break and gets a tie. Is it guys believe in him, so you throw it up, give a guy a chance, and that's building confidence with your team? Or is it you got away with one, dude? Sometimes you'll get away with it, sometimes you won't. So I'm still trying because I do believe that Brock Purdy's a hell of a football player. But he doesn't look the part. He's not going to be the guy that drops back and throws it through a car wash without getting wet, and he can actually hit the car wash. He's accurate enough. So as it goes on, where's the next level to his game? Kyle Shanahan, I think, has got to take him and his team to another level. But the 49ers confuse me because already Kittle's on the IR. Purdy's got like foot and toe and is going to, get himself in position to try and rehab and get himself going. So what's that week look like? Ice tub, your trainers and your equipment people and people who all that and doctors, they're the MVPs during the week to get yourself ready to play against New Orleans, who is a bad football team and lost one. They're not real good. And so the 49ers can probably beat them with a backup. But the 49ers confuse me because they've always been, Final Four 49ers last 4 or 5 years. They're just that good. But already injuries. The wide receiver position's got some problems injury-wise and some how into it are they and disgruntled. McCaffrey, 2 years ago, he was the biggest beast in the league. He looked like Barkley looked last year. Injury set him back. He comes in this year, didn't even know a game time decision, played, carried it 20 plus times. So how long do you have him? Will you have him for the full go? Because you don't want him to be the Mike Trout of the NFL. As good as anybody in the world at his job, meaning McCaffrey, yet we don't get enough of him because he's on the shelf. So that's why the 49ers confused me this year. Because when you line up the best, they've got like a guy. I mean, you think about it, Trent Williams, as good a left tackle as there is in the league. I don't know when they're healthy. Ayuk's a hell of a player. McCaffrey, top 3 back in the league because he can catch and run. Great speed, tough, interior. He can bounce and hit the home run. He can run in between the tackles. George Kittle, arguably, when you put – it's not arguable. When you talk about blocking and receiving, Kittle's the best tight end in football. And I was just about to say, Dr. J, the special teams has got to get better or they are going to lose a couple games along the year because of special teams, not in spite of them. But you start to look up and down. John Lynch had some good draft picks. Their defensive fronts always had some aggressive penetrators. Fred Warner is as good an inside linebacker as football has. I mean, you start to think about it, and then you say, well, the sum, they get Super Bowls, they get the playoffs. Well, what's missing here? And there you see Jake Moody getting waived. You can't let these things fester. This past weekend, kickers killed their teams. Now, some are just phenomenal, but we always focus on the guys who miss instead of the guys who make, right? So we'll see what the 49ers can. It's awful tough to be changing kickers one weekend. You know your special teams is horseshit when that's happening. So my question, so when you talk about Brock Purdy and that, it's really a weird dynamic, right? I want to be critical of him because sometimes, like, what are you doing? Like the interception he threw, there was 3 dudes around the ball, 2 really had a play, and 3, and they come up with a pick. You're like, why are you throwing it there? Late, a blooper was too easy. It was like a punt. Stop. And then he comes back and he says, are you really throwing that? Tight end comes and makes a spectacular catch. They win. So has he got big balls like a daytime burglar, I think? Or does he do some stupid things, yet he puts up numbers? He's always put up numbers. The players love him. He was the last pick of the draft. I still think, put it this way. Let me go back to this. If McCarthy plays last year, if Caleb Williams doesn't paint his nails, I'm talking about the general perception, social media. And if Brock Purdy's a 3rd rounder instead of the last pick of the draft, you guys talk, we talk different about him. So I try to sift through that stuff and say, okay, I don't care where he was drafted. How is he now? He does not play like the last pick of the draft, Brock Purdy. Caleb Williams, where is he with the leadership? I don't know, another new coach and all that. But I know of the 3 I just named, McCarthy, Caleb Williams, and Purdy, in a superstars competition, Caleb Williams, again, just the athletic blows him out of the water. McCarthy's a sneaky athlete. So when you start to look and gather it, think about the perceptions we have. And I think that's why we still dog Brock Purdy, because put it this way, what if Brock Purdy was the 1st round pick? What would we say? Has he lived up to expectations if he was the 20th pick of the draft? The answer is he absolutely is. He absolutely is. And Dr. J, you are 100% correct. No Ayuk, no Kittle. Allen and Lamar they rarely have that best receiver in the league. They both had to exist with good players, but they haven't had Jefferson or Chase, even Nico Collins in Houston. And what do we always ask our quarterbacks to do? Raise the room, elevate your teammate. So the question for me is, and I think this is my last 2 points, can Brock Purdy elevate the 49ers if their players are hurt? Can he elevate with Kittle gone for a month if he is? If McCaffrey goes out again, is he good enough to do what an Aaron Rodgers would do? Now, on the surface, we're going to say no because he's not the prettiest passer. He was the last pick of the draft. But he does win. He's been to a Super Bowl. But people are going to say, just like they do Jalen Hurts, even though Hurts was drafted out, you know what they say? They won a Super Bowl in spite of it, which is bullshit. I beg to differ. The 49ers, they got to a Super Bowl in spite of him. No, go back and look at the numbers when they got to a Super Bowl leading up to it about Brock Purdy that year. The guy could play. but we're going to hold him accountable until he does something special. And the odd thing is, do you realize that we are more critical of a 7th round or the last pick of the draft starter than we are the guy who was drafted the 1st round early on? Now, Purdy's beyond early on. He's now into the mix. He's got to elevate him, stay on schedule. And so does Kyle Shanahan. But think about this. We're going to have more patience with a guy. Heck, you end up having more patience with Zach Wilson than you did Brock Purdy, and they're not even close. Why? Zach Wilson teases you. Big arm, off-schedule play, top 5 pick in the draft. Anthony Richardson, same way. Daniel Jones just made more plays. And then Richardson. And Purdy just makes more plays than the other guy. And yes, the similarities with Jimmy Garoppolo are fair. Not the best at anything, but pretty good at all of it. And I actually think that Brock Purdy is a more – I feel like Brock Purdy is gathered his football stuff quicker, if that makes any sense. And that's no disrespect to Jimmy. I would trust Brock Purdy in a game more than I would Garoppolo if they're both competing right now. Yet, if you're the Rams, you like having a guy who's played in big games, and Jimmy if they need him with Matt Stafford. So this is a moving year for Purdy. You got paid. You got your linemen, all those trucks. You're going to have some injuries. What do you do with that? Don't ever do – Matt Stafford in Detroit comes to the Rams in one season. They're in the Super Bowl. Good players. He made them great. That's what they do. So I'm keeping a close eye on him and the 49ers to see how many excuses they're going to make about injuries, or does he elevate and take them to a new level? That is a confusing team. But the other thing about Brock Purdy, and we're talking about because he doesn't look the part, is that if he was a first-round draft pick, what would you say on his first 3 years of starting? Whose 3 years are better? Just I don't care what year they were drafted. The first 3 years of their career as a starter. As a starter. Who's had a better start? Who's had better 3 years, Brock Purdy or Trevor Lawrence? If you tell me Trevor Lawrence, you're lying. But you know why? Lawrence gets a longer leash because he was the first pick of the draft. Experts miss. You do know this. I'm not saying that Trevor Lawrence is bust. He's still got a long way to go to live up to be the first pick of the draft. But in truth, take Lawrence's first 3 starting years and Purdy's first 3 starting years, and you tell me who the better player is. But you know who's going to get a longer leash, even though they both make between 50 and 55 million, is the guy who was drafted first, even though we're well beyond that now. I don't care where you're drafted now. Produce. See what I'm saying? So when you're studying these guys at any position, see through that a little bit and find out, okay, now that the draft's over, now that they've got new players, new coach, whatever, and Trevor Lawrence, now think about it. This is where we're going to find out as they move forward who Brock Purdy is and who Trevor Lawrence is. But if you had to say, I got a game to win, who do you trust more and the roster is the same? You're taking Purdy if you're smart. You're taking Lawrence because he was a drafted hire, and we just assume these NFL guys don't miss. These NFL so-called experts miss every friggin' day. So let's give them credit, but not too much credit. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 12 o'clock Central, with Mike McDaniel, Lululemon's on, ready to roll. Live, Segs and I will be as we build this energy up towards a great fall, and we start to add elements to it. I can't wait. And I appreciate you guys spending some time on a Tuesday night, which less than 24 hours, we're going to be right back at it here and getting after it as we look forward to the college and NFL weekend. Good stuff. And thanks for your patience today. My golf game will get better tomorrow. I'm going to sleep on it. Appreciate you guys. Triple E, Laura, thank you. Segs, we'll see you back tomorrow. Unpaved, tell all your friends, YouTube Live. You can get us on X, Twitter Live. You get us on Spotify, iTunes. It's all out there. Share it with your friends, because we actually do on this show believe that our listeners and our viewers and the people who comment know a lot about football. And you don't have to have played football for us to give you the respect while you're sitting on our set. We'll see you guys tomorrow on Unpaved.